We are talking about remote ID. And no, I'm not a big fan of remote ID myself.
But I'm a lot less of a fan of all the misinformation we've been seeing from so-called YouTubers.
G'day, that's Greg from Pilot Institute. Talking about so-called YouTubers. What's a so-called YouTuber? I guess it's someone that pretends to be a YouTuber when they're not. So they pretend they post videos, but they haven't posted any. So are there any so-called YouTubers? I've never met any. Trolls are sometimes so-called YouTubers because they have a channel, but they don't post any videos. So I don't know who Greg's talking about, because how can you be a so-called YouTuber, i.e. have a channel and don't post anything, and then spread disinformation, which is what he's claiming people are doing? Greg's a bit confused. Who is Greg? Greg is from Pilot Institute. Pilot Institute is a business which offers Part 107 and other training courses to people who want to get qualified in the US aviation system. Fantastic idea. I haven't heard anything bad about the training that he offers. I've got every reason to believe it's a fantastic business, does a good job, and if you wanted training, why not go there? But it is a business, and Greg promotes this business through his YouTube channel, Pilot Institute, and most of the videos on this channel, Pilot Institute, are pretty damn good. It's a different audience to the one that I usually approach. It's mainly commercial or wannabe commercial drone operators rather than the hobby. And he provides them with a valuable source of information, updates, news, all that sort of stuff. Excellent. The videos get reasonably good views. He's got 74,000 subscribers, so he's not a wannabe. He's a real YouTuber. So yeah, I would suggest you go and have a look at the channel, and certainly go and have a look at the video, which I'm going to link down there by my man parts, so you can see what I'm talking about, because I'm going to be looking at the video from which I've just taken that clip, because it's one that isn't up to Greg's usual standard for a number of reasons. I was very disappointed to see this video, but I was excited because I think he mentions me. Listen to this.
If you're going to go around and have spoofing devices that pretend to be drones near airports, you could be arrested on terrorism charges. But you know what? The people that are recommending this have a Patreon. They have to get the views, they have to get the money, because they can get the money in the country that they live, because aviation is not all that interesting there.
Do you think that's me? Well, I don't know. Could be Sean from Geeksvana. Could be anybody who lives outside America in a country where aviation's boring and has to keep plugging for Patreon and clicks. But why not name them, Greg? Why not name the person? Because if you don't name people, then you have a cloud of suspicion over everybody that meets the criteria you've described. And that's unfair, it's unreasonable. If you were talking about Sean, it's unfair on me. If you're talking about me, it's unfair on Sean. Just name people. Have the testicular fortitude to come out and name them, because you also talk about someone else I know, Mikey from Philly Drone Life. This is what you say about him.
$182,000 fine that was proposed against this one dude that was flying like an idiot. Guess what? He's still doing it, okay? He's still flying beyond visual line of sight. He's still flying over areas where he's not supposed to. He's still flying over moving vehicle, moving over people. And guess what? Well, nothing has happened to him.
And yeah, I think even Mikey agrees he's an idiot for doing the things he does. But why not name him? You know, be a man up to this thing, because the video you have made is full of innuendos and claims. You say it's backed by data.
Based on actual data.
But unfortunately, the data you represent doesn't really match the facts. So, speaking of misinformation, I think you've been spreading a bit through that video. Now, this isn't a dig at Greg or at Pilot Institute. I'm trying to keep this very light-hearted, because quite honestly, if that statement was about me, I don't give a damn. I'm way too old and past being worried by what people say about me. It may be true, who knows? Because yes, this is a business for me. Yes, I do from time to time mention Patreon. It is an important part of the way I keep this channel going and pay my bills. I'm not afraid to say that. I'm not going to deny it. It is a very important part. It pays more than YouTube. So yes, I'm looking for clicks, and I'm looking for Patreon support. Should I be ashamed of that? You make it sound like I should be. You make it sound like I don't have a right to run a business that's based on people watching my videos and contributing to my Patreon.
Have a Patreon. They have to get the views, they have to get the money, because they can get the money in the country that they live, because aviation is not all that interesting there.
Why? You run a business that relies on your YouTube channel bringing people in. It's okay for you to run a business through a YouTube channel, but not me? Bit hypocritical, Greg, I'm sorry. As I say, this isn't up to your normal standard. Normally I love your video. This one, it's just got too many holes in it. It's also not a good ad for the business. And you want to know why? Well, we talk about this. There's a myth where the remote ID is going to make it more dangerous, going to make the flying drones more dangerous. And you even agree that that's the case. But then you go on to say, you're optimistic. You're optimistic that people won't be accosted, that people won't go out and get the app and chase down drone operators and so forth. So you're optimistic. And that's how you're going to manage that risk, is it? You're going to manage the risk by just hoping that it doesn't happen. That I would not be keen to take training courses from a company that has that attitude to risk management. Now, I'm not a professional risk manager or trainer or whatever, but the way I manage risk is that I look around me, see what's the worst that could happen and how am I going to manage that. I don't think I'm not going to bother to check the props on my quad because I'm sure they'll be okay. I'm not going to check my battery state because I'm optimistic there's enough power in there. I'm not going to check my radio link because I'm optimistic it'll work all the way to the scene of the crash. That's not how you manage risk. It's not what you should be teaching. It's not a practical way to deal with risk, but that's what you are espousing in this video. Yes, we could be exposed to more danger, but be optimistic. Just ignore that. No. Not good at all. And then there is another situation here where he's talking about somebody, again, unnamed. You can't do that. If you're going to make accusations, you have to name the people because otherwise you are effectively casting a net of suspicion over everybody. Somebody has been suggesting that people put remote ID modules at airports and spoof at airports. Now, that's not me, because I warned that this could happen. I said somebody probably will, a bad actor will. I'm not suggesting that anyone in the hobby will do that. And so I certainly hope you're not talking about me, but we won't know because you haven't got the balls to say who you're talking about. And you say this would be a crime tantamount to terrorism. You could do jail time, but it's a federal crime to interfere with infrastructure. But elsewhere in the video, you go on to say this.
If you're going to go through the trouble of putting a module inside of foil on top of your drone, don't put a module. Just go fly without it, okay? Then at least you can pretend that you don't know the rules and tell the FAA inspector, I'm sorry, Mr. Inspector, I didn't know that was a rule. I'm not going to do it again.
Greg, you do realize, don't you, that lying to a federal agent is a felony? You just incited people to commit a felony by telling a lie to a federal agent, an agent of a federal organization, a federal agency. My God, Greg, that's not a good thing. It doesn't make you look good. It's terrible. As I say, this video is not up to your normal standards. Oh, my goodness. What else could go wrong? Now, you say these are commonly held, these myths, the 6 myths, are commonly held misconceptions. But then you go on to say that one of them, I guess number 4, has just been espoused by one person. So it's not common, is it? If one person says that, that's hardly common. A little contradiction, but we'll let that one slip. We'll let it slip. Anyway, the video is just full of contradictions, hypocrisy, and bad facts because this apparently remote ID is not going to kill the hobby. The hobby's not under threat. You say, because the FAA, they're not out to get the hobby. They're not prosecuting people. You used the example of Philly Drone Life. He was threatened with $182,000 in fines, but nothing's happened. There's been no follow-up. And no other people flying drones have been prosecuted. The FAA is not out to get people. And then just today, you posted this in another video.
Third incident involved a Coast Guard rescue helicopter operating between 200 and 300 feet near Laguna Beach. Milanovic decided that he was going to fly his drone directly at the helicopter, resulting in the helicopter maneuvering to avoid the drone and then fearing that it may hit the propeller. Now, all of these incidents were posted on social media, that's right, resulting in law enforcement notification. Now, the investigation involves the Joint Terrorism Task Force, the FAA, the Coast Guards, and then Orange County Sheriff Department. He faces, at a minimum, 1 year in federal prison for each of these counts.
That kind of indicates you were wrong yesterday or the other day when you posted this first video, doesn't it? Because they are prosecuting people. This guy's having to plead guilty to all these counts of flying his drone in the wrong place. The FAA, they're not prosecuting anyone? Really? I think you've just contradicted yourself again. Anyway, Greg, this isn't to get at you personally. It's just hoping that you'll see this and you realise you could lift your game a bit. You've let yourself down this time. You've spread disinformation such as the hobby isn't dying. Well, I'm sorry, you've presented no data. In fact, you've even admitted that the FAA says registrations are down. And I know that I get emails every day from people saying, this is now too hard, I'm giving up, I'm selling my drones or models, I'm hanging them up or whatever, I'm not going to fly again because I can't take the risk with all this hassle going on, it's just no fun anymore. And yes, there are people coming in at the bottom, like you see at Flight Fest, 310 million people and 1,500 of them turned up at Flight Test. That doesn't speak that well to a healthy hobby. But the people, there are new people coming in, but in a country where you have to be at least 13 to register to fly a model aircraft or a drone, it's kind of a hindrance, isn't it? It's a hurdle. What happens to the 8-year-old if there's no adult to sponsor them by registering on their behalf? They have to fly legally or not at all if they've got a thing that weighs more than 249 grams. So the hobby is dying. And I have the emails to show that, and we have the FAA registration data to show that. We have sales data from drone companies showing that their sales are now down. We've passed peak drone. The hobby is in decline. But you say it's not, and you've got data. Where's your data? Show us the stats, show us the facts, show us the stats. I don't see them. So, yeah. Anyway, I've probably gone on enough. Hopefully this was taken in the light-hearted vein it was intended, and hopefully you will reconsider those videos that you're putting up, obviously just to get clicks and drive people to your business. Not that that's a bad thing, even though you say it is for everybody else. Never mind. What do you think of this video, guys? Go down, have a comment, but do go to Pilot Institute, subscribe to the channel. I mean, they as I say, they do put out some great videos. If you need some training, go and look at what they're offering. I'm here to plug everything I can for everybody. No kickbacks to me. It's all just, public information. That was a public service announcement, by the way, that he put out there. Public service, very public-spirited, by shaming people without naming them, thereby shaming lots of people that shouldn't be shamed. Oh. Anyway, thank you for watching from a country outside America where aviation is boring. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Oh, by the way, before I go, apparently this suits me too. Oh, Greg, lift your game, mate.
Overregulation is like a tumor. It's killing our hobby. It must be terminated. Now!